I never really liked my mother. Sure, I loved her. She was my mother. And if I'm honest, that was more about the expectation to love one's mother than a warm fuzziness deep in my heart. Since my mother died, I've started referring to her as Susan. At first, it was to distance myself from grief's personal grip. More recently, an evolution. Calling Susan by name allows me to separate her from her role as mother. To see her as one of a long line of ancestors, a woman, part of the collective sisterhood. One who grew up in an Italian Catholic family where women served their husbands and children dinner first and ate last, where women were expected to obey and not have a voice. And in my family, where women were both caretakers and active financial providers in an era where doing so granted neither power nor freedom. This was also a time when women were named after those who came before. Susan was named after her 9-year-old aunt who died of disfiguring tumors, likely from some sort of cancer. The eldest grandchild on both sides of her family living in the city of Rochester, she came out of the womb responsible, organized, and a leader. She cooked, cleaned, watched her brother, who was only 2 years younger than she. Along with her many cousins, she watched them as well, who climbed trees to avoid her bossiness, knowing she had a fear of heights. An excellent student, she loved to learn and lose herself in romance novels, which stoked her fantasies of finding Prince Charming. This, coupled with watching her mother take 3 buses to work in a factory, led Susan to college in the 60s. She became a registered nurse and a director of nursing to ensure a better life just in case, a fated decision that would bode well later. Not long after, she met the man who would change her life. Instead of the stuff that dreams were made of, my mother and father's relationship was not like her beloved romance novels. Let's say it was more like a Lifetime movie. Handsome, charming business owner, my dad, Greg, had a killer smile and was dating Susan's roommate. Attracted to Susan, he breaks up with the roommate and love bombs her. 4 weeks later, likely pregnant with me, they elope. Of course, they didn't know one another, but it didn't seem to matter. The first years were good. She had her little family and kept working. As expected, she gave my dad her paycheck. He grew his fruit and vegetable business in Peekskill, New York, which seemed successful. He superficially talked about business. She never really asked, content with their life. Her happy ending seemingly on track. Until it wasn't. Things changed. My dad grew dark, unpredictable, and distant. He eventually left. A year later, at the age of 29, he was dead by suicide, or so they said. In 1974, Susan was a 29-year-old widow, penniless, with a 5-year-old child, owing $1 million. The irony? She couldn't receive credit in her own name without my dad, but was deemed suitable to assume his debts she knew nothing about. To clear his name, she ran his business and worked private duty nursing for 2.5 years, paying back what she could. Ultimately, we moved to Rochester when I was 8 years old to be surrounded by the security of family and start fresh. The problem? I wasn't expected to question the holes in the stories I was told. Plus, people didn't go to therapy or talk about things in the 70s as they do now. To cope, Susan kept her world in a nice, neat, safe box. At that time, she was a chain-smoking workaholic who threw herself into obsessive cleaning, raising me, and caring for family. Life was okay until I was ready to fly the nest after graduating college. Unfortunately, my natural independence triggered the past and her festering abandonment wounds. I truly never meant to disrespect her or cause her more pain. I appreciated and still needed her. Our relationship during my adult life, a roller coaster ride. On again, off again. In 2017, I spent 6 weeks with Susan in the hospital. She was dying. I held her hand as she left the world she brought me into. Under the best of circumstances, on a normal day, mother-daughter relationships are complex. After she was gone, mine became even more so. I thought time and distance would help me forgive and make sense of things. For a long time, I just wasn't ready. In talking with women my age, I've learned baby boomer mothers like Susan stick to their roles. We watch them as wives navigating tricky marriages, caregiving, struggling with relationships as daughters and sisters. But do we ever really know them? The woman and girl, separate, tightly hidden. Maybe they feel they have to lose their authenticity or identity somewhere amidst life and expectations. This realization and sharing it is part of my healing. I can replace the triggered emotion the word mother renders because I see and hold space for Susan, the woman who hid herself, the ancestor who carried the weight of the others before her, the woman as part of the sisterhood who truly did her best under some of the most horrible circumstances. I didn't like her, but I admire her. Her courage, her strength. I love her. I forgive her. And with that, I am finally free.